Kenn Kington is one of the most popular comics on XM radio and performs regularly across the country. He has spoken to hundreds of companies, giving amazing focus in the midst of change, maximizing productivity, developing record-breaking product launches, but there is more when it comes to Kenn. He was also a top 10 salesman in a Fortune 500 growth company. He's written 2 best-selling books on relationships and records a regular radio show podcast that inspires thousands to experience life to the fullest. We're amazed how we serve such a big God who cares about what we're striving to build in the river region. And it's only because of him and how God connected the dots through the Fatherhood Commission that Kenn is actually with us here tonight. Kenn was in Ohio yesterday. He'll be in Arizona tomorrow. In between that, he's at Pike Road School, which I think is pretty awesome. He entertains, he motivates, and he inspires all across the country. He's happily married, the father of 4 children. Ladies and gentlemen, give Kenn an Alabama welcome. Kenn Kington.
Man, I covet your voice. What a great voice. I'm Rick Hendrick. He just talks like that. It's so awesome. Well, I love doing these type of events, and I got to ask this because I've done this for 28 years, but I always love to ask this question. How many of you before this moment have never seen me before in your entire lives? Raise your hands. That is so awesome. Because I've never seen you before either. So we're on the same page. I'm going to give you a little bit of my bucket. Now, I'll ask this. How many of you have a New Year's resolution? Anybody have a New Year's resolution? Yeah, 1 or 2. That's really on its way out. Now it's like bucket list. You got a bucket list. Like, anybody got a bucket list? Yes, that's great. Like, what's something on your bucket list? Just one item on your bucket list.
Go to Moscow and see the Nutcracker.
Italy and go to Moscow and see the Nutcracker. Like, is that separate or see the Nutcracker in Moscow?
Yeah, I'm at the Bolshoi Theater.
Wow, that's awesome. Have you seen it here yet?
Da.
Da, oui, that's great. Their bucket list. My son, one of his was jump out of an airplane. He did that this last year, and I've really checked off a few of mine. One I wanted to perform in Times Square on New Year's Eve. Checked that one off about 3 years ago. That was kind of cool. Do y'all know who Steve Martin is? Steve Martin was one of my favorite comics growing up. I got to do a movie with him about 10 years ago called Simple Twist of Fate. I had one line and they cut it out, but I still got to hang out with Steve Martin. So, check. Wanted to see, I love that baseball's coming up, and I'm so, you guys' mascot's one of my favorite, the Biscuits. This is the Biscuits. But I performed in a couple minor league parks. That was a check, and I wanted to see a game at Wrigley Field, check. But there was one that I never thought would ever come true. And I just want to say thanks tonight because I've always wanted to perform at a middle school gym on a Tuesday night in Alabama. Wow. Dreams come true. This is awesome. I know you already applauded me, but did you like dinner? Wasn't dinner great? I loved it. It was awesome. But I tell you, my favorite part of dinner tonight was not just the food. Food was great, but because every one of you, in the last 30 days, you've had this conversation. You've been in the car with your spouse or a family member or a coworker or a friend, and you've had this conversation. So where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you feel like? I don't know. What do you want? It doesn't matter to me. What do you want? I don't care. You can drive around for days. Finally, my wife and I have it all the time. And she's like, I don't care. What do you want? I don't care. I'm like, how about pizza? I don't want that. I thought you said it didn't matter. Drive around for days. There's too many choices. And the things I wish we had choice about, we don't. Like, ladies, I'm so glad you're here tonight because God gave you all the good stuff. You realize that? He gave you beauty and prerogative and intuition, and he gave you all the great stuff. Guys, there's only 2 pieces that I believe that God gave us. And one of them isn't really a good thing. It's just every guy I know has this. This is the lesser of the 2. Every guy I know has this ability. It's to sit on a couch or a chair in front of a TV with a remote control. And we can sense when someone's actually getting interested in the program and change the channel. That's real. We have that ability. The other one is both ladies, you deny it exists. And you envy it at the same time. It's the ability every man has that I know, the ability to actually think nothing. One of the greatest arguments were the first ones in our marriage. We're driving up in the mountains to see the leaves in the fall. It's beautiful, and out of nowhere, my new bride of 3 months, she goes, "So what are you thinking?" Nothing. She said, "Well, you can't think nothing. You have to be brain dead to think nothing. It's impossible to think nothing. What are you thinking?" And I'm like, "No, man, that's nothing." Now, see, guys, here's the deal. I call this the man's superpower, because women cannot comprehend this. They can't even sleep and think nothing. They're thinking something all the time. So she does not believe that you are thinking nothing. So she starts to think you are thinking something. And it is not nice. And that's why you're not saying it. And she'll think the worst possible thought. And she will blame you for thinking it. And begin to punish you for thinking it. And the whole time you were actually thinking. Be careful using your superpower. Okay? And I'm getting older. The things I wish I had a choice on, I do not. I did not pick this hair, okay? I used to have great hair. And now I got this, you know? I did not go to Katie, the girl who cuts my hair, and say, "Hey, is there any way you can gray it up on the side and thin it out on top? Is that possible?" But that's what I got. And my wife's so sweet. She was like, I came back from the haircut 2 weeks ago. She goes, "Oh, I love your new hairdo." And I'm like, "Okay, men don't have hairdos, okay? Just got a haircut." Now, ladies, I know when you get your haircut, it makes sense for them to ask, "How do you want it? What do you want?" And it's like, that makes sense, because you get like a cut, a weave, a bob, a curl. I mean, there's choices. We don't have choices. It's like, basically, I want this shorter. Okay, that's it. That's all we got. And I told Katie last time, she goes, "How do you want it?" And I said, "How do I want it? I want it thicker and darker. That's how I want it." She started waving her comb, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "It's a comb, not a magic wand." But I got this, and my wife's so sweet. She's like, "Oh, I love your new hairdo." I'm like, "It's not a hairdo." She goes, "No, it's like a little faux hawk." I said, "I don't have a faux hawk." And then I looked in the mirror, I'm like, "Whoa! It looks like a sad little faux hawk." So it's not a faux hawk, just the hair that's left is going, "Stay together, we got a better chance." And ladies, I'm gonna ask you guys, just the men here. How many of you men here tonight are married? Raise your hands real quick. Very good. Every one of them will vouch for me. Ladies, it amazes us how much hair you can lose and have any left on your head whatsoever. We take the second shower. We go to turn on the water. It's like, holy cow! Is that a hamster? What is that? There's a small toupee down on the drain. I started picking it up, putting it on my bald spot. It's not fair, and I'm getting older, and I know I'm getting older. My wife, though, she's 5 years younger than I am, but she's catching up a little bit. Went to a movie the other night, get up to leave, and she's like, oh my back, oh my back. And I'm like, "You okay?" She goes, "Oh, my back." I said, "Yeah, that happens to me sometimes." She goes, "No, I mean, I don't think you understand. It really hurts." Yeah, that's happened to me. She goes, "No, all I did was sit there, and now it hurts." I'm like, "Yeah." Now, as we're walking out, I said, "Well, you know, I asked the doctor about that last time I went." She goes, "What did he say?" Now, you got to understand, my wife is a recovering hypochondriac. And I am a comedian. With the straightest face I could pull, I said, "Well, he told me it was the early stages of OLD. She said, "Oh my goodness, what's that?" You're getting older, Buttercup, that's what that is. Now, ladies, I do not know the female version of this. But gentlemen, when this happens, you are officially old. The other night, I pulled a muscle in my leg. Sleeping. Have you had that one yet? I mean, 3 in the morning, just, "Oh, man! Oh! I walked to the bathroom, I looked like a newborn deer. I shared that in the show the next week. This 20-something kid came up. He goes, "Hey, man, great show." And I'm like, "Thanks." He says, "You know what that is, right?" I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, the cramp. You know what that is, right? I'm like, no. He said, you gotta hydrate. You're dehydrated. It's before you go to bed, hydrate. I said, dude, I just turned 50, okay? I hydrate before bed. I'm peeing 9 times in a night. Why don't you go do some push-ups or something? And I got a choice, cramps or depends. I'm sticking with the cramps for now. Not easy. It's not easy. And as I get older, I will say this, it's enjoyable to me to watch younger couples. It really is, because we've been through so much. We've been married 23 years. Anybody been married 23 years or more? Raise your hands real quick. Oh, that's a lot of you. That's a lot of you. That's awesome. And but I love newlyweds. Any newlyweds been married 2 years or less? 2 years or less? That's great. That's awesome. That's awesome. I was sitting next to a table for a Chili's like 2 months ago, and the table next to us, my wife said, "Hey, give me a Coke Zero. I gotta go to the bathroom." She goes, and the table right where that's right there. I wasn't eavesdropping; they were just right there. And the girl and the guy are sitting there. I could tell they're newlyweds by their conversation. He's like, "What's wrong?" And ladies, she said, "Exactly." All right. And he said, "Well, I can tell something's wrong. What's wrong? Why don't you tell me?" And she goes, "Never mind." And he's like, "Well, just tell me. Why don't you tell me what's wrong?" And she goes, I just want you to want what I want." I wanted so badly to lean over and go, "Dude, it's a trap. Don't say anything." But he didn't know he was a newlywed. He says, "Well, what do you want?" She's like, "See, you don't understand." Thought his head was about to explode. And she's on the verge of tears, and it could not have been more perfect timing. The waiter walked up at that moment to their table and said, "Hey, you guys ready to order? Do you know what you want?" Oh. It doesn't get easier. I'm going to tell you this. It doesn't get easier. It's fun. It's worth it, but it doesn't get easier. I used to think my dad was just dumb. He'd stand in the kitchen. My mom would say something like, "We need to fix that drippy faucet." And he'd stand there like a deer in headlights. I'm like, "Say something, man." Now I know what he was doing. He was trying to figure out which she was talking about. I learned that when I got married. We were married less than a month, and my wife came in, "We need some new spring clothes." And I'm like, "Well, I've got plenty of t-shirts and shorts." Doesn't matter, because that was a we, okay? And she came in a few months later. I'm watching a ball game on a Saturday. We had this tiny little yard in front of our townhouse. She just announced while I'm watching the game, she goes, "We need to cut the grass." And I had the mental thought, she's going to help. So that was a me, okay? And I'm telling you, at least once a month it happens, and I never know when it's going to happen. My boys were back from college a few months ago, and my wife walked in the kitchen, and she was like, "We need groceries." And I'm standing there just like my dad. My sons walk through, "What's wrong with Dad?" I'm like, "Leave me alone. I don't know if it's a she-wee, a me-wee, or a wee-wee. I'm trying to figure it out." It's not easy. It's not easy, but I'm here to tell you tonight that I believe with all my heart that God made us to be together, and He made us to experience the fullness of marriage. And we're not going to be able to find that without Him. We really aren't. And He's dying to jump in and help, because He wants us to help. And I'm going to give you a couple examples of that tonight, a few absolutes that I learned. And tonight, you can walk away, and you don't even have to write this down, because it's going to be memorable. And there are a couple absolutes that I've discovered will eliminate 90% plus of all the frustration and arguments in marriage. And I learned it from God. He just showed it to me one time. And the first one is one pretty easy. It's just expect nothing. Expect nothing. Now, here's the deal. There's a verse. Now, most of you guys, when you got married, you thought, "Man, I have this desire. I want to get married." You didn't go out and say, "You know what? I want a mean woman. I mean, I want an ornery woman, one that just I mean, after a year, I want to hate this person. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. We didn't do that. But you know, it's in Luke chapter 6. Jesus said, but love your enemies and do good and give. And here it is, expecting nothing in return. If we're supposed to do that to our enemies, how much more should we do that with one another? And I looked up that word nothing in the original language. You know what it means? Nothing. That's what it means. Expect nothing. Now, see, that's not easy to do. And I agree with that intellectually. And I'm like, that's a good verse, Lord. Way to go. But then it happens. We lived in a little townhouse when we first got married. We'd get up on Saturday. We'd clean the townhouse. I kind of did some, and she did some. We got it all done. After a couple of weeks, I thought, you know what? I don't want her to feel like she has to do that set of chores. So I'm going to do them this week. And she did the ones I did the week before, with one exception. I went to take a shower after we're done. She did not clean the bathtub. I thought, probably an oversight. Okay, next week I did the same set. She did the same set, but she missed the tub again. Now, we've been married a month. And I said, hey, Heather, come here a minute. We both couldn't fit in the bathroom at the same time. It was so small. She came to the door and she goes, yeah. I said, baby, you did such a good job in here. Cleaned the toilet and the sink and the mirror. Everything looks so great. But you know what's funny is you forgot the shower. You forgot to clean the tub. And I turned around and she was gone. And over her shoulder, she just yelled, oh, I don't do tubs. And everything in my body just kind of came to attention. And I'm thinking, well, you do now, okay? Because you take shower and I start walking after her. As I'm walking after her, I got to thinking, and I walked by, and my Bible was on the dresser. And that verse jumped out and hit me. And I literally went, not now, Lord, I got to have a conversation. And I'm chasing her down, and I couldn't move. I was frozen there. And the guy just took me back to my groom's room a month before, and it just started whispering in my heart, Ken, what would have happened if they'd have come into your groom's room right before you got married? One of your groomsmen said, hey, man, you know what? We just found out something about Heather. I know you're about to get married, but I don't feel I'd be a friend if I didn't tell you this before you got married. We just found out she doesn't do tubs. Okay? Would you still marry her? Absolutely. But in the heat of the moment, it's like, ugh. And you know what? In that moment, I had to let it go. I had to let it go. So you know what? Expect nothing. And I let it go, and I thought, if I'm married for 70 years, I will never bring this up again. And I didn't. Do you want to hear something funny? 4 months later, I came off the road, threw some laundry in the back, and went to take a shower. I opened the curtain. It was spotless. I said, Heather, come here! She ran up to that door. She goes, what? And I said, someone has broken into our house and cleaned the shower. She just went, shut up. You know what's that? Expect nothing. Expect nothing. And there's another absolute. I want you to say the first one with me. Expect nothing. Expect nothing. There's another one that's so great. It's appreciate everything. And we just, the older we get, the more long we're married, we quit appreciating everything. And we're different. I know we're different. I knew that when we first met. My wife is the brilliant one. She would tell me how she was in advanced class. I told her all about special class. We had bigger pencils in my class. I really was in special class. I have a learning disorder called dyslexia. You guys know what that is, right? See things inverted and twisted. And she told me about this phenomenon. Now, how many of you have ever, at any point in your scholastic career, got a report card and from your parents or grandparents got paid money for making good grades? Anybody? Yeah, you should be proud of that. That's awesome. Now, how many of you were like me, and even if it was one time, the report cards were coming out and you knew it was not going to be good? Did anybody else do this? Go home, find a cancel check, and practice forging your parents' signature? Anybody else? Yes. These are my people. Right on. But this is my favorite. We've been married about 6 months. And we're out driving somewhere and out of nowhere. Now, when you're newlywed, you want to know everything. She goes, I don't think I've ever told you this. I'm like, told me what? She said, from kindergarten through college, I only made one B. I said, me too. See, she used to intimidate me because she was so brilliant and beautiful. And I'm like, I was intimidated until I realized she has a glitch. Now, everybody has a glitch. God made us that way, so we need him and need each other. That's the way he made us. Her glitch is something we call Heatherism. Language arts teacher, 4.0 student through school, and yet she will mix up words and phrases and say them as if they are real. And they are not. I'll never forget the first one. We went for a jog. We got done with the jog. She said, "Whew, I am sweating like a bullet." I said, "Honey, I don't think bullets sweat." She looked at me very emphatically. She said, "No, it's a saying." Okay. She teaches middle school. Some teachers had done something wrong. She told me the whole story punctuated by, "And Monday morning, the fan is going to hit the roof." Did they not screw it in or what? Now see, the blessing and the joy of my life is that God gave me this as a gift. Because when we're having an argument, that's when they pop up. And it just ends the argument right there. We're doing our budget. It was not going well. She got so frustrated, she threw the checkbook at me. As she threw it, she said, "Well, you can't milk a dead horse." I said, "You win." How do you argue with that? To this day, I do not know what the situation was. I came off tour. She's walking on the catwalk towards the stairs. I walk in the back door. She just leans over and she goes, "You are treading in hot water." I tried so hard not to laugh out loud. She got downstairs. She said, "Why are you smiling?" I said, "Baby, I can be treading on thin ice. Or I can be in hot water. But if I'm treading in hot water, that's a jacuzzi." I don't mind being there. See, the worst part is, though, when you hear one and you can't laugh. That's the worst. We're at dinner one night and get a text. Friends of ours were in the hospital and chest pains. We go up there and it's a very somber moment. I almost bit a hole through my lip. We walked up and the wife came out right as we walked up. We're like, "Oh my goodness, is he okay?" And she goes, "No, he's okay. He's fine." We're like, "Oh, good." She goes, "But he's still in some pain. But they're going to run some tests. They're going to keep him overnight. But he's got the pain. But they're probably going to release him in the morning. But he's still got some pain. But it's okay. The nurse just went in to seduce him, so he's all right." She looked away for a second. I leaned over to my wife. I said, "I don't feel so good myself." I love the differences, and we got to learn to appreciate those differences. And I've discovered about 97% of the time, it's the great stuff. And I know 3%. We got to let go of that 3%. I'm OCD. My wife, it drives her crazy. I am OCD. Do you guys know what that is? Obsessive compulsive disorder. And I am. My clothes, you go to my closet tonight, everything, my long sleeve shirts, lightest to darkest. Short sleeve, lightest to darkest. Pants, darkest to lightest. And everything has a place, and everything in its place as it should be. Okay? If I have OCD, though, my wife has a condition that I have submitted to the New England Journal of Medicine. It's called GILD. Get it later disorder. I'll give you the perfect example of get it later disorder. I had to go to the bathroom the other night, middle of the night. I hydrated before I went to bed. I've been living there for 18 years. I know the bathroom is. I'm walking to the bathroom. Well, she has left the drawers to her sink open. And I'm just, got a gash in my leg. Wake up the next morning, I'm brushing my teeth. My wife walks in. "What was that noise last night?" I said, "Baby, you left the drawers to your sink open." Now, if you're married to somebody with GILD, here's a phrase you will hear all the time. She said, "I didn't have time. I was in a hurry. I didn't have time." You didn't have time to push in your drawer. So you got a stopwatch on your iPhone. I want you to time this. Ready, go. How long was that? didn't have time. I had a scratchy throat one night. Went down to the kitchen to get a drink. I don't need a light. I know where the cabinet is. I went to open the cabinet. I leaned in. Didn't need to. It was already open. Just It was dark. I didn't think to look, and I got in the water. I went back to bed. Wake up the next morning to the most blood-curdling scream I've ever heard. I'm dead asleep. What? She's like, hey, what? And I look, and I'm laying in a pool of blood. There's a gash on my forehead with a big old goose egg. Blood all the way down one side of my face. She's like, what happened to you? And I was like, baby, I just get some water. And you left the cabinet door. Oh, I didn't even get it out. I said, oh. She goes, I didn't have time. I didn't have time. I'm in a hurry. She goes, I feel like I frustrate you. I just feel like I frustrate you. And I'm like, baby, you do. You frustrate the crud out of me sometimes. I said, but honey, here's the deal. It's like 3% of the time. I said, I love everything about you. I said, I let that go because that's a 97 and that's an A, and I don't worry about that. I said, baby, I look at the bright side of that. I really do. I've learned to look that I'm not getting caught up on that. Because you're everything I'm not. She is the life of the party. I'm the wallflower. She is the spontaneous one. I can be spontaneous. I just need a couple days to plan. She is carefree. I'm the one. I obey rules that do not exist. I came out, we were on vacation, and the gas thing clicked, and she just took it out and started to put it back. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? She goes, it clicked, it's full. And I'm like, you got to round it up. You got to round it up to the nearest one. She goes, why? What do you mean, why? It's the law, that's why. I just don't get it. She said, well, you frustrate me too. And I'm like, baby, I know I do. I know I do, but you got to look at the bright side of OCD, sweetheart. I said, I can't walk in the kitchen or past the kitchen. If there's dishes, I have to do them. That's just the way I am. Ladies, I vacuum without being asked. Just do that. I know. And you can ask my wife, because it is true. I wash, soften, dry, fold, and iron all the clothes in our entire house. Now, I'm also self-aware, because some guys are just like, man, do you really? I might have to kill you after this. We all have our pieces, and that's mine. And I'm just telling you, I'm self-aware. So guys, don't worry, because I'm self-aware. And I'm aware I'm below average looking, okay? And I'm fine with it. My wife loves me, that's all I need. But I'll tell you this, for women over 35, about 90% of them, I just became one of the sexiest men alive. Okay, I'm just telling you. Because we're different. We got to learn to appreciate those differences. Appreciate those differences in who we are. And you know what? It's about appreciation. It's about taking that initiative in it. And then here's the deal. Not just little initiative. I'm talking about taking that full initiative. And I've learned this one. There's another verse that used to make me laugh, and I'm thinking, what was that about until I read it? And I'm going to challenge you to memorize it tonight. Jesus wept. There it is, right there. And you know what I learned as I read the story was that it was when Lazarus had died. And Jesus had taken his time, and they're running out, and they're crying, because they're like, Lazarus dead, if you would come, he wouldn't be dead anymore. And he's like, instead of going, hey, whoa, and that's the way I am as a man. I just went, hey, whoa, why are you crying? Let's stop crying. Stop crying. And Jesus could have said, hey, stop crying, I'm going to fix it. It's all done, it's okay, it's okay. But he didn't. He went in and cried with him. I'm like, to feel first. And genuinely feel, not the way our politically correct feel is. Had a flight a few months ago, and we were 3 hours late leaving. And we finally take off, and the pilot's like, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be cruising at 30,000 feet, and the barometric pressure, the visibility, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of it, he says, hey, if there's anything we can do to make your flight more enjoyable, just send word up to the flight. And I thought, he does not mean that. So I just started doodling on a napkin. The lady next to me started dying laughing. And I just kept writing. And the flight attendant came by, she goes, why are you two so happy? Nobody else is happy on this flight. And she said, you got to read his napkin. And on the napkin, I just said, dear captain, the following would make my flight more enjoyable. A foot massage. A foot massage would make my flight more enjoyable. B, a barrel roll. I've never done a barrel roll. I think I would enjoy that. Or C, arrive on time. That would make my flight more enjoyable. The flight attendant looked at it, she laughed, put it in her apron, and walked away. And I thought, well, that was fun. And till the end of the flight, they're coming by, and she just drops a note in my lap. I said, what is this? And I opened it up. She had actually taken it up to the flight deck. And the captain written back, "Dear sir, would you like a left or right barrel roll?" But I want genuine. I want a genuine, just an honest, really caring about it. And I'm trying to get better at this. I really am. I'm trying to get better at it. And as I think through it, I did what I want all of us to do. And I'm learning this concept that God is not out there. He's not up there. He's right here. And he really cares about and wants us to have the greatest marriages and the greatest life and be significant and successful and show us what that means. He wants that for us. So I'll stop every now and then and go, you know what, God, what can I do here? What can I do here to get better? And if I can wrap with this concept is to expect nothing, appreciate everything, and feel first. And to just take that and say, okay, what do I need to do with that? And I love this because it happened. I'm like, Lord, what do I need to do about this? Well, now I was laying in bed one morning. My wife, her alarm goes off at 5:17. It's 5:17 in the morning. And I've learned, now you guys have been married only how long again?
Just over a year.
Just over a year, okay. Now you're going to learn. Now let me ask you this. How many men here tonight have been married, this last time I asked you to raise your hands, over 7 years? Raise your hands. All right. Now here's the deal. At about 5 to 7 years, you learn to discern your wife's screams, okay? It's this tone thing, and I can't explain it other than this. There's the "I am in mortal danger" scream. And it just draws us to run and rush to it. But about 7 years, you learn that there's another scream that sounds very similar to the "I am in mortal danger," and it is the "I am completely overreacting" scream. 5:20 in the morning, I heard the overreacting scream. And I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking, do I just pretend I did not hear that? And then she screamed again. Now I got to do something. So I get out of bed, I'm walking over, and I open the doors to our bathroom, and the light hits me, and I'm trying to get my focus. My wife is on the sink, towel half around her, bathrobe half around her, sees me, and just begins to scream. She's like, "It was over there, it was over there, it was this big, it was this big, it was around." I'm like, okay. It was what? She goes, "It was this big." She was, I'm like, okay, wait a second. It was this big? She goes, "It's this big." And I was like, that's a cat, okay? I said, but I'll look, I want to validate her. So I'm looking and I'm going over. So where was she? She was by the tub in the shower. I'm like, okay, are you sure it wasn't like your hair in the drain or something? I'm looking, no, I did, okay. It's not here. And I want to validate her. Because here's the deal. I'm going to take a quick aside here for a second. How many of you men have ever heard this phrase? Finish it if you've heard it. I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to listen. Yes. She is lying. All right? She is lying. She doesn't realize she's lying, but she's lying. Because here's the deal, guys, and you can bear this out. That's not what she means. What she really means, because how many of you guys have ever done this? You thought, okay, I'm going to go fix it. I'm going to listen. Just going to listen. Have you ever had this one where she'll talk for like 2 minutes and go, never mind? What do you mean, never mind? Well, I can tell you're not interested. I'm listening. I can tell you everything you just said. Yeah, but I can tell you're not interested. What? See, because here's the deal. She does not want you to listen. She wants you to listen like a woman. That's what she wants. And that's different. And I'll tell you what that sounds like. You want to study this? Listen to her on our phone, because what she's saying is, I want you to interrupt me every 5 to 7 seconds with some kind of guttural or affirmation or some word. And listen to him on the phone. Oh, hey, how's it going? No. She did not. I hate her. You know, that's the way women listen. And so here's the deal. I walk in on this, and my wife, I'm trying to validate her. So I'm just like, okay, it was this, where did it go? And I'm like, well, it's gone. And she goes, okay, are you sure? And I'm like, yes. But I want to bound her. I said, but you know what? I'm going to get traps today. And I'm going to put them out, and I'm going to take care of this. She goes, okay, thanks. And so I got the traps, left them on the counter. She saw them. And then I put them out throughout the house. The next morning, I woke up right before her alarm. I had to go to the bathroom. I hydrated the night before. And I walk into the bathroom. I'm putting the seat up, because I want to be a good husband, pull the seat up. And what I saw, I've never seen before or since. Floating in our toilet is a mouse. And I'm like, just that time she walked up. And I said, did you put him there? And she jumped back. She's like, that's him. What is he doing? What is he doing? I'm like, floating. What do you want? She goes, why is he in there? I'm like, I think he heard you scream yesterday. And he felt really badly about that. Couldn't live with the guilt. Ended it all. That's right. She said, do you think there's any more? And I'm like, I don't know, but I put out the traps. That night, 3 seconds after my head hit the pillow, my wife was like, what was that? I don't know. Why are we whispering? I said, I'll go look. And I go into our closet. There's a door to the crawl space in our closet. I open it and I flip on the light. I mean, right there in the middle, there's his brother right there. I'm like, wow. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to walk him out and traumatize her. He's not going anywhere. I'll get him in the morning. I turn off the light. I shut the door. And as I'm walking back to the end of the bed, my wife is there. She goes, was there another one? And I'm not going to lie to her. I said, yes. And she goes, what did he look like? So what? I said, you know what? I can tell you exactly what he looked like. He looked like, oh, look, peanut butter. That's what he looked like. Now I give myself a B, maybe even B plus in that whole scenario. But I want to get better. And I'm like, God, give me wisdom. How can I get better? And here's what I came up with. And for this year, I've been doing this. This year, I decided I'm going to match her level of emotion in every situation to let her know we're together on this. Next time I hear that scream, I'm bursting through the doors. My lady! I've heard your cry. The prince is here. But what vexes thee, for if it vexes thee, it vexes me, for our hearts are one. Then I shall hunt down this rat roach beast of false faith. And I shall vanquish him, and I will earn this reign of fear in our castle. Then we will return to the marriage chamber. And we will lie on the wedding bed. We will do what lovers of 20 years do. We will bask in the glow of our television. For at least 10 minutes before falling asleep. Sleep does not end our love. No, for our love is enriched in slumber. For even as we sleep, you beckon unto me. And I hearken back. And when we awake, sleep's journey is complete and slumber is no more. We awake to this enriched love. And our lips like magnets are drawn. And as they touch ever so gently, we realize simultaneously that we share the breath of a dead camel. And we return to the room where the rat roach beast once ruled. And we brush our teeth. And as we brush, I see your reflection and the pools of brown that are your eyes. And they speak to me. And they say, I married that. And I see you in all of your naturalness. And it's then that we realize this is true love. Thank you. I'm just so thankful that you came tonight. And I want to see if you remember all of these three. First is to expect, appreciate, and feel first. That's it. I'm telling you that it works. And you know what? I'd love to go home with you in one of a couple ways. One, I did bring some newsletters. And it's got the ways to follow me. There's probably the best way is Facebook at Kenn Kington Fan on Facebook. These are normally, and it's got some other really good stuff on the inside of different places and ways to follow. But I do this corporate thing every Monday. It's a little 90-second clip of comedy with a point. And these are normally $100. They're free tonight. Okay, so you can have one of those. And I did bring my favorite two projects, and I don't know if you can watch it on Xbox, DVD, you can watch it in minivans or whatever, but how often do we get to just laugh as a family? And I Am Dad is the best-selling one I've ever had, and then my most favorite one, it's an hour different comedy, it's called Wow Moments, and the Rat Roach Beast is on there, and this one actually won a Golden Crown Award, which is an international comedy award. Those are back there, they're 15 each. But I got a special I'll tell you about in a second. And then we just came out with this. It's just called Duct Tape DIY Groups. And it's a small group guide. The books are a small group guide. There's devotions, there's questions, there's all kinds of fun stuff in there. If you don't want to do the small group, you can get it for just you and your spouse. And there's a card, pick up the card too. And you can go online and see the clips. It's like a 6 to 8 minute comedy with a point. And then some questions, and it's a lot of fun. Those are there, but we do have a small group DVD and leader's guide. So if you want to do that, so any of these items are 15, and if you get two of them, they're 20, and if you get all three, they're 30. And here's the deal: the only difference is if you do buy the small group guide and you want to do it as a small group, you can get the books for 10. So if you get that, it'll figure out. So anyway, those are back there, and I would just love to meet you. If nothing else, grab the newsletter and just watch some online. It's a lot of fun. I want to, if it's okay with you, before they come up and wrap it up, I absolutely love tonight, and I really have. I've been on the road for the last week and a half. I get to sleep in my bed one more time before the end of the month, but my wife's going with me to Arizona, so I'm excited about that. And but it's just, man, we're meant to be together. And I want to close with this one stat, though, because I've got a friend, and I've seen her speak a couple. Shantae Feldham is her name. She wrote a book called The Good News About Marriage. And she went back through all this research. And how many of you have heard the stat that half of all marriages end in divorce? Have you heard that? Yeah, it's not true. The survey that they pulled that from was back in the late 70s, early 80s, and it was the spike of divorce that was in the low 30%. And the survey said, at this rate, within 10 years, the divorce rate will be 50%. But it didn't go up, it went down. And it's been continuing to go down. The divorce rate, as the U.S. Census put it, is somewhere around 30%, 32%. And here's the other thing. They said, well, it's the same in the church as outside. Those who go to church regularly have the same divorce rate. That is also not true. George Barna did a survey, and he said they didn't look at the data right. That's not true. It says those who are walking and seeking faith together, it cuts that in half for those who are seeking. So it's literally down in the teens or below. So just good news. You're here together. Guess what? You've done a great job tonight. So let me pray for you, and thank you so much for coming out tonight. It was a joy getting to meet with you guys. Father, thank you that you want us to enjoy marriage to the fullest. You want us to enjoy life to the fullest. And all we have to do is seek you and turn to you, and we thank you for that. Thank you for laughter and creating that. I pray that we would just do it more, and we do it more together, because that is where our hearts are just the fullest. And we love you for creating joy, and there is joy in everything. You say, consider it pure joy, even when you encounter trials, because I'm right there with you. So, Lord, thank you for that, and it really is only through Christ we get to pray. Amen. Thanks for letting me share with you guys tonight.
One thing you need to know, we laugh like this every month. This is what we do. It's good to have you with us, ladies. We are going to conclude, and my friend over here, that introduced himself a few minutes ago, Rick Henry from 95.1 The Fox. One of my favorite people. I've known him for a long time, does a great job on the radio, but so I got you beat. I was the voice of Y102, Mix 103, Cool 104.3, Star 98.9, and 101.9 The River. So, and penny fur commercials. So there you go. But we do appreciate you coming out tonight. Just a couple of concluding remarks. There are some cards on your table, and if you'd like to fill that out, first of all, it will give us an opportunity to get in touch with you if you leave your email address. Also, you can fill in if there's a special need that you have tonight. If you want to make a commitment to Christ, somebody will be glad to get in touch with you. If you have a special prayer need, write that on there, and we will collect those later on. So be sure and fill those out. Also, if you like to text, you can text Free Steak to 55222 and receive notifications and reminders. The other thing is that this is always done at no cost to the guys that come out every month. And it's largely because of the people that were mentioned here earlier that help us out and donate money and goods to make this happen every month. And this has become a passion and ministry for a group of brothers. And I want the guys, the ones that do this every month and really put this together, stand up just a moment so we'll know who you are. I know you hear Tony and all the guys. We show up once a month and eat a great steak and have a great meal and some great fellowship, and then we get to go home after we put the tables up, of course. But we do thank these guys because they work on this every month. This is a great ministry. It brings men from all over the area together in fellowship. So if you'd like to help out, there are a couple of things that you can do. You can go to riverregionironworks.com, riverregionironworks.com. We're also on Facebook. But we have a link there for PayPal where you can make a donation. You can set it up to make a monthly donation. We have our toolbox down here. If you'd like to write a check or drop some money into it, please do so because, again, we don't pass the hat. We just do this every month. And if you'd like to help out and help us keep this going, please help us out by going to the website or dropping some money in. Or you can just talk to any of the guys that just stood up. Again, many hands make light work. When we get through here, we need to get these tables and the chairs stacked against the back wall. So if you've been here before, you've helped do this, no doubt. So please help us with that. If you've not taken your trash to the trash cans over here, please do so. But please put the knives in the orange buckets. When we first started here, they gave us plastic knives. It's hard to eat a steak with a plastic knife. And so anyway, fortunately, we were able to come up with these knives. We keep them from meeting to meeting. We're going to close quickly with a prayer. And I'm going to ask Gene Burbage, rather, to come up and lead us. We always close with a chorus of Amazing Grace. And so he's going to lead us. We'll stand, if you will, and I'll close us with a word of prayer. And by the way, get over to see Ken. What a great job he did for us tonight. And we thank you. Let's pray and we'll be led in the chorus. Father, we come to you tonight to thank you for this opportunity to gather together. Men and wives, and maybe girlfriends that were able to come tonight, for those that are looking forward to marriage. I see kids here. And Father, we just love this time. We love this time we can come together and laugh. And it just gives us a little bit of a foretaste of what it's going to be like when we come to be with you and the joy that we'll all share together for eternity. So thank you for your son. I thank you for every man that has worked to make this night come together and do it every single month. And I pray hearts have been touched here this evening. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, so I'm going to take a selfish moment for this minute. A lot of you may know, so I know a lot of folks from church that we know. My sister-in-law, Katie Burbage, is a nurse at Baptist South and is leaving this next week for MD Anderson for surgery. She has a softball-sized tumor in her hip and is being removed on next Tuesday. So I just asked Katie Burbage is her name. She and my brother Nick are going to be traveling out, so just keep them in your prayers. So this is kind of tough. They're leaving 3 little ones behind. She's going to be gone for about 6 to 8 weeks. So that's up. You know, tonight is this our first night to come. My wife Kelly's sitting back here. Great time to be together with folks and celebrate and really think about one thing that we all have in common. We all, no matter who we are, where we come from, what we look like, we have one thing in common: we're saved by the grace of God. And that grace that we have received from Him is amazing. So let's sing this together. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Have a good night.
You want this, sir? You want? Oh, is it still videoing? Oh. Oh well. You can edit it out.